replacement. The Autofac's trying to replace us. It's trying to replace people.
It's not trying to replace people. It already has.
This story tells how artificial intelligence sparked World War III, a massive conflict that claimed nearly 75% of human lives. There are very few left. The world has changed. All that humans have created has vanished, with the exception of a factory. Robots run this factory. The remaining residents want it closed due to the pollution it creates. They could die if they don't. However, it is not simple. Thousands of robots patrol the factory to protect it. Can the people destroy it? Will they succeed? They discover something unexpected at the end, which may also surprise you. You must watch the entire video to find out. Remember to like and share it with others. The movie begins and Emily, while driving, she suddenly sees a nuclear missile streaking overhead, wreaking havoc on a distant city. Emily awakens from what appears to be a recurring nightmare when she feels the shock waves from the explosion. This nightmare is based on a true story that occurred many years ago at the beginning of World War III, when multiple nuclear attacks destroyed the majority of the planet, leaving only survivors like Emily. Emily and her two friends leave in an old car to explore the barren remains of civilization, one of them still traumatized by the first attack. The devastation they see reflects the terrible consequences of war. One of Emily's friends, Perny, uses binoculars to survey their surroundings, while the other, Connor, prepares to pull out a large gun mounted on their car. As they move through the ruins, they come across a massive drone that appears to be delivering supplies to the area. In a panic, they try to take out the drone, but instead hit the package it was carrying. The drone will then scan them and their location, triggering its alert system. Emily and her friends shoot the drone again before it can respond, causing it to crash. They scramble to the downed drone, realizing they must remove its motherboard. They understand that they must move quickly to avoid other drones searching for it. Emily removes the motherboard with ease, but there's one catch. The drone's camera is still tracking them. Emily smiles confidently and cuts the camera wire, turning off the monitoring. Given how important this action is to their mission, it is critical. Prior to World War I, this area was home to the Autofac factory, which was unique in that it used artificial intelligence, AI, to create whatever customers wanted. Autofac received orders for toys, automobiles, firearms, safety pins, and even aircraft. Following that, the factory's robots would produce the goods and deliver them via drones. For those who survived World War II, life became extremely difficult. Food was in short supply, and Autofac, an AI-run factory, had no reason to continue producing goods. Even so, it continued to produce and deliver goods, despite the fact that fewer people were available to use them. Emily, Perny, and Connor, along with about 100 other survivors, questioned why Autofac was still in operation. They were unaware of the intended audience for the factory's products because the majority of the workers had left and the factory's output was highly polluting. The three friends needed to gain access to Autofac's main server in order to persuade the others that destroying the factory was necessary to stop the pollution. They needed a motherboard from one of their drones for this reason. Emily, an expert coder, used the motherboard to connect to Autofac's server. She had to work hard before she could enter. Emily snatches the magazine from Perny while she is deep in thought, telling her it is important. Perny is perplexed, wondering why Emily would react that way to a magazine. However, Emily adds that this magazine could be the last of its kind in a world where everything has been erased, making it extremely valuable to her. Emily had discovered this magazine among her belongings only a few days ago. After reading an article, she decided to save it. Now that they have access to the Autofac server, they can communicate with the main AI and remove Autofac. In an attempt to communicate with the AI, Connor suggests they order a product. However, Emily points out that placing an order will cause the drone to take off after delivery, obstructing communication. Then Perny comes up with an excellent idea. Inform the AI that the products it has delivered have been pizzled, a term they coined. According to Perny, the AI robots will be so perplexed by the meaningless word that they will dispatch a robot to figure out what it means. They would be able to carry out their plan to eliminate Autofac and communicate directly with the AI as a result. Emily agrees that the plan is risky because they do not know how the AI will react. They could send a robot to investigate, killer robots to destroy them, or simply ignore the message altogether. They have to take the risk, but they must be cautious. The group panics when they receive a response stating that a customer support robot will visit them within a day. Some are skeptical of Emily's decision to interact with the AI, fearing the worst. They argue that because robots lack free will, they are prone to aggression. Emily consoles them, explaining that the robot was most likely just asking questions about the invented word "pizzle" in order to improve its products. They want to discuss the factory's air pollution and demand that it close when the robot arrives. Nonetheless, a few members of the group express skepticism, believing that they are endangering their lives needlessly. They are concerned that attempting to reason with the AI may fail. Connor raises his voice to express his frustration with their situation. He reminds the group that even though World War III has been over for a long time, people are still dealing with the aftermath. Contrary to their expectations, Autofac continues to run, contaminating the already delicate environment. He questions how Autofac functions without electricity and accuses its Ultra AI server of indiscriminately consuming Earth's remaining resources. Connor warns them that if they succumb to their fear of the robots, they risk losing complete control over their lives. He makes it clear that because people created Autofac, it is their responsibility to destroy it. He encourages the group to confront the robot when it arrives, saying they cannot remain passive in the face of AI dominance. Only at that point will they be able to reclaim their own destiny and end Autofac's destructive influence. Following Connor's passionate speech, the group decides to address their concerns to the arriving robot. Emily understands that their plan may be dangerous, but she also believes it is necessary. That evening, a massive drone that resembles a spaceship appears and begins to shine brightly.
Hello, I'm Alice.
In response, a few people tensely wave their weapons. After a successful landing, Alice, a humanoid robot, appears. She greets everyone and informs them that she is there in response to a product complaint. Perny and Connor pull Alice aside to talk. Alice reveals her identity as a humanoid AI robot from Generation 12. She inquires, what does the word pizzle mean, in an attempt to better comprehend their message. Perny and Connor express their dissatisfaction, stating that no one in their group actually uses the products that Autofac delivers, despite the fact that the deliveries continue. In response, Alice claims that it makes no difference whether customers accept the products. Their only responsibility is to deliver. Connor and Perny try to convey to Alice the gravity of the situation by explaining how Autofac's operations endanger their survival and contribute to pollution. They warn that if nothing changes, they will face serious consequences. Alice argues for Autofac's existence, claiming that pollution is unavoidable as long as there are factories. She implies that it is their responsibility to deal with the fallout, reminding them that humans created Autofac. Perny insists that Autofac is no longer required and advocates for its immediate closure. Alice, on the other hand, declines, claiming that the factory will operate regardless of whether people want it to. She emphasizes the importance of accepting delivery and reaping the benefits, while also offering to meet all of their needs. The group explains that the Autofac robots prevented them from leaving the area, challenging Alice's sense of freedom. Alice attests to this by stating that the factory owns the surrounding area. Angered, they wonder how they will ever be able to leave if Autofac has complete control of the area. Despite their demands for the factory's closure, Alice remains committed to her beliefs. When Emily realizes that talking to Alice won't help, she decides to take drastic measures and shocks her in the neck, rendering her unconscious. Later, she reveals her plan to rewire Alice to serve them. They intend to gain control of Alice by connecting her to Emily's system, then use her assistance to sneak into Autofac and plant explosives powerful enough to destroy the factory. Nonetheless, not all members of the group support this tough stance. Some condemn their actions, fearing the AI robot army's unavoidable retaliation. Connor acknowledges the danger, but responds that if they save Alice, she will still bring her allies with them. He explains that in order to maintain control, these extremely intelligent artificial intelligence, AI robots, have trapped people in the region since World War III. The group faces opposition at first, but eventually comes to an agreement. In order to break free from the AI robots' control and ensure their own survival, they must destroy Autofac by any means possible. Emily activates it again after inspecting Alice's code. Alice acts strangely, possibly due to shock, and when she wakes up, she begins hitting her head. Emily attempts to fix it quickly by severing her head with a sharp object. As Emily tends to her, she begins to have visions of a massive nuclear attack. Then she notices water emerging from a bathroom shower. Emily observes that Alice's coding is extremely difficult to comprehend once she returns to normal. Normally, robots follow simple instructions, but Alice acts like a human, which adds another layer of complexity. While some question whether changing Alice's coding is worthwhile given her intelligence, Emily assures them she will do everything in her power to resolve the situation. Emily says there was a problem with her circuits that she is resolving as Alice begins speaking. Alice suspects Emily is attempting to change the internal coding and wonders why she is looking at it. Emily finds Alice's intelligence surprising. She tries to focus on reviewing the code, but Alice won't stop chatting and arguing. This irritates Connor, who advises Alice to mute herself before changing her coding. His remarks enrage Emily, who tells them to leave and sends them both away. Emily feels overwhelmed and lightheaded as she examines Alice's coding and is unsure where to begin. Alice goes on to say that drone coding is simple, and she describes how they send messages to their AI server via the drone's motherboard. Emily acknowledges that it is impressive, but she wonders why they did not send killer robots after destroying a drone to gain access to the server. According to Alice, they wanted to speak with them because they suspected a problem with their service. Emily is concerned because she believes Alice is dangerous, because she thinks more like a person than a robot. Alice predicts that more Autofac robots will come looking for Emily, but she also warns her that it will take a year to understand her code. But Emily sees a chance. She tells Alice that she is an expert at drone coding as she grabs the drone's motherboard. Emily suggests removing Alice's code and replacing the drones to make it easier to control. Alice is uneasy with this concept and asks Emily what she wants. Emily insists on Alice leading her and her companions into Autofac. Alice, with no other choice, reluctantly gives in. Emily, unable to comprehend the program, threatens Alice in an attempt to persuade her to comply. Emily wants to appear heroic to her friends, even though she is effective. She implies Alice's willingness to accompany them to the factory by falsely claiming that she has changed Alice's coding. Emily chooses to keep the truth from her friends because telling them could frighten them and make them realize Alice is not under their control. Pernay and Connor accept Emily's words after realizing Alice is no longer a threat. Meanwhile, Alice emerges and asks Pernay and Connor if they are ready to go to the factory. Connor has his doubts about Alice's sincerity and wonders if she is acting. Nonetheless, they equip Alice's drone with bombs and proceed to the factory. Although it is their first time outside, the robotic guns do not target them because it is an Autofac drone. Alice controls the drone while they discuss their plan. In order to destroy the factory's core, they decide to descend into various levels and detonate the bombs at once. Emily gives them devices that allow them to open doors on multiple levels. She suggests that if the devices are unresponsive, they remove the battery, wait 5 seconds, and then replace it to reset the device. As they prepare to enter the factory, Emily hands each of them a device. They want to know what Emily's plan is. She says that Alice will open the door for them, and she will accompany her. Connor, on the other hand, remains skeptical of Alice and threatens to sue her if something happens to Emily. Alice consoles him, telling him that she had plenty of time to crash the drone if she wanted to hurt anyone. They approach the massive Autofac facility with confidence. Drones by the thousands fly through the air, transporting goods from the factory. The facility's thick smoke plumes indicate severe pollution. They take an elevator down to the basement, where Alice expertly positions the drone. Emily gives Pernay and Connor watches with timers. To avoid the blast, they must first set the bombs and the timer before fleeing to a safe distance. Pernay descended to the subterranean level and detonated the bomb by following a pipeline to the core. Meanwhile, Connor makes his way to the second floor and gives Emily a gun, warning her to defend herself if necessary. Emily reassures him and offers to use the iron rod if necessary. Emily and Alice continue down the path as they go. Pernay believes someone is following him as he moves along the pipeline in the meantime. He suddenly realizes that an unseen robot is pursuing him. Pernay flees in terror, heading for the door that leads into the core. Nonetheless, Emily's device does not initially work. He takes out and replaces the battery, as Emily suggests, and the door eventually opens. To his surprise, he looks beyond the door and sees nothing. The invisible robot appears out of nowhere and quickly severs Pernay's head. Connor also follows the invisible robot on the second level. Connor fires his gun, but the robot overcomes him and kills him. Emily is currently the only one with Alice. Alice wonders why Emily gave her friends false information about her reprogramming. Emily admits that she expected Alice to help them because she believed she had a human side. Alice reveals that her ability to mimic human behavior is due to having memories and characteristics of Alice, the marketing director for Autofac. Despite Alice's warning, Emily walks toward a room as they come to a halt in the elevator. She finds cryopods with humanoid robots inside. When she peers into one, she is surprised to see another AI robot that looks identical to her. She smashes the glass with an iron rod in surprise, revealing her own face on the robotic counterpart. Emily, shocked, rushes to Connor and yells about the factory's evil plans to kill the last humans alive and build humanoid robots. She is astounded to learn that Connor is a robot rather than a human because his body is filled with wires and circuits rather than blood. Alice uses a hook to the neck to incapacitate her and render her unconscious before she can process this revelation. Emily asks Alice what's wrong with her, terrified. Alice then reveals a horrifying truth. Only Emily and her friends survived World War III, which left humanity on the verge of extinction. But contrary to their beliefs, everyone else had died in the conflict. No one had survived. Alice explains how the Autofac factory continued to run aimlessly, abandoning her and the other robots on Earth. They realized they'd be obsolete once there were no more humans to serve. To avoid this, they began developing human-like robots to continue their goal of producing goods and ensuring their survival in a world without people. Emily is shocked to learn from Alice that she and her friends, including Connor and Pernay, are Autofac AI robots. Unfortunately, only about 100 distinct personalities were available due to a lack of personality data, resulting in multiple robots with the same personality, such as Emily, Connor, Pernay, and others. Similar to humans, these groups of identically faced and programmable robots live in various locations and place orders with Autofac, mistaking them for regular people. However, when Emily and her friends refused to accept products delivered by Autofac drones, the company's main artificial intelligence began to have reservations about them. The packages remained undamaged at the delivery location. Autofac became concerned about this and dispatched a phony Alice to investigate. Finally, it becomes clear that, like humans, AI robots are averse to disobedience and prefer to keep things under control. Alice came to point the group in the right direction rather than to improve her own service. She noticed that Emily, the AI robot, was behaving strangely due to coding issues. Under false pretenses, Alice claimed there were thousands of people like Emily who she intended to take to Autofac. Her goal was to make Emily more like other AI robots by correcting what she believed to be a coding error. But when Alice tried to fix it, she discovered that Emily's coding contained a virus rather than a mistake. Emily's connection to the main server enabled the virus to spread throughout the system. Alice does not understand how the virus entered Emily's programming. Emily makes a shocking revelation here. "I have implanted this virus in my own coding." Alice asks, "How can you? You didn't even know you were a robot." Emily responds, "I realized I am not a human being 5 years ago. The nuclear attack kept appearing in my dreams. Though I was certain she was not me, the woman I used to see in my dreams was identical to me. I couldn't understand anything at the time. However, I discovered that I am a robot after cutting myself with a blade in the restroom one day. I became convinced that my entire life up to this point had been a lie. Someone has programmed memories into me. I realized that not only was I a liar, but so were those around me. However, I chose not to inform others because I knew that if they discovered they were nothing more than Autofac puppets, they would be devastated and lose motivation to live. Thus, I said nothing. While sorting through my books, I stumbled upon a magazine that featured my photograph. It turned out that I possessed the same abilities as Emily, the owner of Autofac, because I was created using the personality and memory of the woman who founded the company. When I realized this, I decided that if I helped build the factory, I could also destroy it. We were robots, but we craved freedom, just like humans. Thus, I persuaded my fellow robots and myself to destroy Autofac. I inserted a virus into my code, expecting resistance. I was aware that as soon as you connected me to your primary AI server, The virus would spread throughout the factory, destroying the drones and robot workers. We watched as all of the drones and robots turned off while Emily planned. Nonetheless, robots like Emily and Alice, 12th generation humanoid robots with cognitive abilities, continued to operate. Following the destruction of Autofac, Emily attempted to integrate into her AI robot group in order to restore some semblance of normalcy among her kind. And with that, the story concludes. Thank you for your attention.